and now we've got presenter John Kennedy for Windows 10.
Anniversary, yep.
Okay.
Thing comes up here, I do want you to see that we do have some people who have joined us from Zoom. You can see that George Gray and Bob Vance, so we've got some people. Everybody got an email on this that said it was available, so if you couldn't come today, you could join us. This is another service that we have with our East Central Ohio Technology Users Club, that we do have this new program, Zoom. So these people who are connecting through the internet are seeing exactly what you're seeing, because they're being projected on here. So they will be there. They don't have the advantage of blurting out comments or questions because they're in a chat box. That's all they have. I got their mics turned off. But I told them I would check later. We'll probably try to say, unless it's something really something you got to get off your chest, we might wait till later because there's quite a lot to go over here. And most of it is pretty much, it's straightforward. Here's what's out there. And, I'm not necessarily going to tell you how to do everything, because that would be a whole other afternoon of classes and stuff. But I am running Windows 10. This is the new version. And I had somebody ask, well, how do I know if I have the new one? So, first thing I'm going to do is tell you how you know. You go down to your settings, and settings is the new control panel. There is a control panel still there, but over time it's going to probably disappear. Because as Microsoft migrates all of the different settings into what we call settings, they leave control panel. And right now, as you do things, most of them you'll come to a screen that looks like this. This is the modern look. But once in a while you'll click on something and it'll take you back. You'll say, oh, I remember seeing this same exact screen back in Windows 7 or Windows XP. And that's because they haven't migrated everything. The whole thing with Microsoft's new approach to Windows and Windows 10, I tell people the last time we had this, is the wrong name they should have used, because that causes people to say, well, when's Windows 11 coming out? Well, there will not be a Windows 11 or 12. Windows 10 is it. They should have come up with the post office name Windows Forever, but the post office had it, because this is the last Windows that they will technically create, because it is an ongoing, evolving operating system now. In fact, we are on the third version of Windows 10 since it came out. The first one came out last July. The next one came out in November. The third one came out, they call it July, but it came out August, whatever. And that's it for this year. But my readings have said that there will probably be 2 new versions in 2017. So I'm guessing there will be one maybe at the end of winter, and then maybe again at the end of fall. And all it is to us is a new massive update that improves, removes things that they determined is not good or doesn't work very well, adds new stuff that they have. And so for you, all you do is let the computer do the updating. In the Linux world, we call this a rolling release, because it just rolls along. Now, if you go to your settings menu and we go over to System, gotta get to see my mouse here, and then you go down to About. When you look at that, you'll see that this is a little bit different than the screen that we used to see for System, but it still tells you that this is a Windows 10 computer. And I've heard too that pretty soon Give it another year or so, we will stop saying Windows 10. We'll just say Windows, because we're going to get tired of 10 because there's nothing else going to be there. But the edition that I'm running, which is what most of us run and all we need, is the Windows 10 Home. There's really nothing much that we need that's Windows 10 Pro, but some of you, when you buy a computer, that's what you get because that's what's on sale the day you buy it. So you probably have some features that you won't maybe use in the home. But right underneath that, there's the key. Version 1607, or 1607 is the proper way to read words. That signifies that this version came out in the 2016 in July. The original one was 1507, the November one was 1511, and 1607 is the current one. And it will stay 1607 until sometime next year when Microsoft sends us the newest major rebuild. Now, you can see underneath that it says OS build. And these change all the time. They could almost change weekly. Some of you said, I've been told, and I had it too, that there was a big update. It took a little while. Not the couple of hours that a 1607 would take, but a good bit of time. Well, that was another build. That's kind of like an in-between with small things that change and small settings and whatever. But the key thing is if you are one who says, do I have the newest version yet? I will show you in this presentation how you know whether you do or not. But the key word would be, do you have 1607? Now, if you're still back on 1511 and it's been out since the 1st of August and you're going, I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. If you're tired of waiting, you can do this. I emailed it out, but if you go to your updates and you go down to learn more, because I've had people that say they go to updates and they click and it says everything's up to date and you're not at 1607. If you go up to Windows Learn More, it'll take you to the Microsoft page, talks right there about Windows 10, and then when you scroll down, you will see, I don't because I'm already at 1607, you will see a box that's a button that says, I want it now, or get it now. So you can say, I'm tired of waiting in line. I want it now. Get it over with. So you can come here, push that button, and then it will go through the process of getting you 1607. Or you can just wait until they decide it's your turn. I have no clue as to why some people don't have it yet. One comment was made that if you don't leave your machine on long enough, it can't do it. And there are people who turn the machine on for 15, 20 minutes, do something, and they shut it off for hours. Well, Microsoft will not do anything while you're working. Now, when you look down here, you can see that there has been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 builds on top of 1607. The original one came out back, in August. So that's almost like every week. And if we go back even further to 1511, which was back in November, you can see that you're always getting updates. You're always getting updates, and so what we want to tell you is, don't come to us and say, it's changed. My Windows 10 doesn't look like it did last week. Well, it's probably not going to.
Does it ever have restart your computer on these updates?
On the updates, it will say it needs to be restarted. Yeah, they will have to be restarted. Once you, when you do your major upgrade, it will pop up and tell you the computer will probably upgrade multiple times. That's why it takes a few hours sometimes. So once that starts, just leave it alone. Don't mess with it. Let it do its thing. And so, but you come to your Windows 10 settings and go to Updates and go down to the bottom looking for the latest data updates. You click on Learn More and you will see that Get It Now. Once you got it now, as you saw in mine, it won't be there again until whatever year they decide to do it. All right, so we're back. Typical desktop. Now, one change that they've done is on your lock screen. Now, your lock screen, the old way, it was our screensaver, or our lock screen that when we went to screensaver, when you left your computer and you had to come back and put your password in, say it was locked. I can't show you that right now because I don't know if I go to lock screen whether I will lose our Zoom people. So instead, I brought you a picture to kind of tell you about it. And I'm going to have to hold my mouse down because that's the original size and I can make it a little bit bigger. At first, though, you've seen this if you're on a Windows 10. If you're not, this is what you see when the computer first comes on. It's kind of nice. It can be programmed. It tells you that the time is at 10 o'clock and it was Monday, April 18th. And you have an icon down the bottom corner to let you know you're on the internet. And there's usually an icon down there that you can click to shut down. But this one is what we call the lock one. This is mostly for businesses when somebody leaves their desk and they have to lock it because they don't want anybody on their computer while they're in a meeting or going to lunch. The big change that's happened in the lock screen and login is, one, Microsoft has removed your email address. All of you should know by now that when Microsoft gets you to sign in with a Microsoft account, you have your email address right there on the login screen. Well, that's gone now. So it will just have your name. Now, I have one of our members that's going to be a problem because he had two accounts. He had a Microsoft account and his local account. His local account and Microsoft account both had his first and last name. Now, he's going to have trouble which is which because the old way, it would hit his first name with his Microsoft email. For example, on mine, it would have been jken2008@outlook.com. And so I knew that was my Microsoft account. Now that's gone. However, my Microsoft account has my first and last name. My local account just has my first name. So it's no problem for me to tell which is which. But for Bob, it's going to be a problem because they're both identical, but he clicks on. So that's one change they made because they said, you know, we don't want anybody or just everybody seeing our email address. Now at home, is that an issue? No. If you're in the workplace, yes. So some of these changes really aren't that big a thing for us, but it's for the whole group. The other thing that's kind of interesting on here, which again would not be anything that would matter to me, but when some business people, they finish their computer and it's working or sitting over here and they're working on their desk things. And they want to listen to music so they can have their computer playing music. But they get a phone call and the music's too loud. Well, you had to log in, go to your sound, turn it down. Microsoft put on here, and I'll make it bigger. There we go. In the bottom right-hand corner, if you have audio going, there's going to be a new control right there on the lock screen, and you can stop it, pause it, without having to log in. So for business people, or if you were at home and not using the computer and you were playing music and the phone rings, you have an easy way now of turning that down. So that's kind of a good addition to what they've done. Microsoft still has the people who were on the original previous year testing program. We have one of our members that still is. I don't know, Jim, are you still on the testing one?
No, I think they both upgraded.
Okay, Chuck Tyndall has a computer that's still in testing, so he sees things that are going to change before we do. And sometimes he sees things and they don't change, because the testing people say, that's no good, so it never gets to us. So that evidently was something that was discussed and said, we really could use this, so we now have it. We did not have to wait to Windows 11. It just came to us in a constant upgrade. All right, so that has it. Now, one other thing that happens is that Cortana, which is the assistant that's inside your computer, can now be accessed from that locked screen, and you can be able to talk to it without having to log in to your computer to do that. So that became good. However, you can program Cortana, and I don't use Cortana, to protect some of your sensitive material by not allowing certain parts of Cortana to work when you're in your lock screen programming it. The next big thing made some changes to our start menu. You know that the start menu came back to Windows 10 because they took it away from us in Windows 8. We revolted enough and they were forced to bring it back. They made a couple of changes based on input from people. And this will be one other way you know you're on the new one. When you go to your start, the difference we have now is that over on the left-hand side, you see the listing of all the programs. Whereas before, there was a button that said All Apps. And so you click that, and then you got your vertical alphabetical order. I guess enough people said, why do I have to go through an extra button to get to that? Well, my feeling is, why should I have to see that list if I don't need it? They won out. So now, that's up permanent. Then what they did is over here on the side, the buttons that were the main buttons have been just moved over to the left, but they are also permanent. Whereas before, if you clicked All Apps, all your alphabetical listing came up, but those buttons were hidden. So I guess that's the best of both worlds. The buttons stay permanent, and you have permanent alphabetical listing of all your programs there. You know that the right side, that's not new. That's been with us since 8 and 10. That's your shortcuts. That's your tiles. And we're not going to even talk much about them, except that in one of the changes, Microsoft and your manufacturer puts junky stuff in there. Just like they did before when they fill your brand new computer with junk stuff. There will be things added and suggestions that would show up when you really don't want to. But you can turn them off. One of the ones I turned off was the one that says Get Office. I don't want Microsoft Office, so I got rid of that tile that says I don't want Office. So that can change. We also know that you can stretch this out, that if you needed to see more icons or tiles, as they call them, you can stretch out depending on your monitor. And I can stretch these out, and I could get another 3 columns of icons. Some of the computers that we have in the classroom, we can't do that because the monitor doesn't have enough room. So part of it has to do with your resolution and the size of your monitor. But if you needed to see, you could get a third set of columns. Now, the new thing that they did with this is that because of this, you can see that over on the side, there's a lot of empty space that's not being used. And there are people that said, I don't need this start menu so tall. I can shrink it down this way, but what about this way? Well, now in Windows 10 1607, I can do this. I can't shrink it all the way down, but I can shrink it down so it's not as big as it used to be. Or anywhere in between what they say is the smallest and the highest. See, a nice feature. And with their new cycle of rolling, we didn't have to wait to the next version and buy the new Windows 11 to get this like we had been doing in the past. It just came automatically. Usually you can tell if I'm going back and forth at something I'm not going to show you. The Microsoft Store. The little icon right there, the shopping bag. They have allowed actual programs for your desktop. Now here's the confusing part. Apps are apps. There are apps that came with a tablet touchscreen type, and now the programs that we used to install on our computer, they are now called desktop apps. I didn't like that because that's too confusing between apps and desktop apps. But the desktop apps are like LibreOffice. I went out and got it and installed it. They are now putting more of those programs, if they have been approved by Microsoft, to go into the store. So it might be that you'll go now and you'll find something that's not a Microsoft product, but it's a Microsoft approved desktop app in the store.
Would Avast be in there?
I would say no, but it could be, because why would Microsoft want Avast in there? Because they don't want you using Avast. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah. Bob, we love Avast, you know that. Okay. Bob G, who's watching, has been here at the meeting. He's the guy that is the spokesman for Avast, and it's something most of us use, but I wouldn't see that Microsoft would want to advertise it. They don't want you using it. So there's been some changes that they're opening it up so that you get some of the desktop apps that you would want on the store. Alright, so now we're going to move to the taskbar. Taskbar has been with us for years. It's the stuff that shows at the bottom. We put shortcuts on the taskbar. We now have Cortana and the search on the taskbar. In the middle is the programs that are actively running, show us there. And on the other end, we have our panel of notifications and actions going on. The taskbar has been worked up that it really works nice now with the calendar. All these years we've had a clock and a calendar. You click on it, it just shows you a calendar like that. But now, when you click on the calendar, not only do you get the time, the calendar, you also get your calendar events that you have put into your Microsoft calendar. And they show up right there. And if I need to say, oh, we've got something new added, see, if I go here to the 23rd, you'll see that it shows that, whatever I have in my calendar. But I can now click the plus, it will take me to the calendar program, and now I can add right from the taskbar, takes me right to the mail program, and you can add an event.
That's nice.
Yeah, so that comes. And their calendar program, not going to talk about that, but their calendar program will also connect, and if you give it permission, get all of your Yahoo calendar events, your Gmail calendar events, and merge them all together if you want Microsoft to handle that. So you get the calendar on there. And they also put in a short, quick link if you wanted to make your settings for your taskbar. You can now right-click, and it's right there at the bottom. There's always more than one way to do something. I could go to menu and settings and get to taskbar, but we're pretty smart in saying if I right click on the taskbar, I want to do something, and so it would take me right to the taskbar. And you have all the settings that you can do. You can put the taskbar in different places. You can use small icons. I don't know very many of us that can deal with small icons. I can't even deal with some of these medium-sized icons. So it gets it really nice so that you can do it. And a lot of people didn't know that you could move these. If you look at the bottom, where do you want to locate your taskbar? Right now it's set for bottom. It can be at the top or on the sides. I'm a top person. I like, with my vision, I like that all those buttons and stuff at the top are easy to see than me looking down at the bottom, because some of us, when we look at the bottom, that's our reading vision and everything gets blurry down there. I will tell you that if you put it on the side, then you lose real estate going from left to right. And so I had somebody call me because they lost something. And that's because there wasn't any more room. So Microsoft added a hidden second column. And I finally saw, oh, look at those little tiny arrows. Click the arrow, showed me the second row. There's what we were looking for. So in that, you get your quick access to your settings in the taskbar. Microsoft has improved what they call Windows Hello. Windows Hello is a different way for you to get logged into your computer. Windows Hello will use camera recognition of your face, and if you have a device, will read your fingerprint. And we know that a lot of the phones have that now. You see that at the stores. You see a lot of times when you go to purchase something, and for right now, the gals at the pharmacists, they put their finger on that. It reads their fingerprint so they can use the computer. So Hello has been set up so that besides doing the fingerprint and the facial recognition, now it'll support access by some of these new apps. You've seen the Fitbit type apps that you can wear and keeps track of how fit you're getting to be. Well, if it's one of those Microsoft ones, it will be the way you can unlock your computer, because it reads that. And the other thing was there's a USB token, a special little token, a USB. You plug it in, and then it will read. Because I always wonder, what happens if you do it with your finger gets burned so bad that it won't read? Or what happens if your face has been in an accident, and then I don't know how close it has to be. So Windows Hello has helped improve that way.
John?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a movement to eliminate passwords by using biometrics, just like what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. We all have the problem. We're trying to eliminate the fact that some people use the same password for everything. So we said, okay, let's stop using the password. You and only you have that fingerprint. Or if we want to get really fancy, that iris print, like you see in the James Bond movie. That's how he stole that rocket. So that's the things the future to come. That work out, so you don't have to. It's you, nobody else. What problem does it happen? What happens when you die? How does somebody get into your computer if it has to have your fingerprint? So they have to work out things.
Chop off your finger.
Yeah, chop off your finger. Thank you. Appreciate all of that. Another change in the sound panel. It won't show up right for me. That's battery. When you have multiple devices for audio and microphone, they will all show up when you pop up the microphone. And so you can pick easily between what you want. As opposed to the old way, you would have to go into the settings, and like for example, for playback device, you would have to go to this screen, and see that's old. Some of you recognize that, oh, that's an old screen. And there you would have your headset, your speakers, and maybe external speakers. I have 3 sets. So I have to keep telling the computer which one I want to use. So rather than have to go to multiple steps, you can now do one click and everything that's connected will pop up and you just say, I want to switch to that one. And I do that. I'm listening to music, now I'm going to do Skype, I want to do headset. So it'd be very easy to pop up, choose what you want that way. And there's your volume control too. Last, going on the taskbar, the notification center. And this is new with Windows 10. It's where all of our notifications. In the old days, you remember there's a little flag that would pop up in your taskbar and you'd click on it and it would say some messages. Well, now we have the Action Center and Notification Center, and we have notifications up at the top. Usually, you will know, because down here there will be something, it'll turn white with little lines that clue you've got new. And if you have yours set, it'll tell you how many new notifications you have. And so up at the top, it'll tell you stuff. And then you can respond to whatever it's telling you. Sometimes it's good things, sometimes it's not so good things. You can middle click and disable or cancel the message. Instead of having to go up and find the little X and click on the little X, you can just middle click on your mouse and put it away. So that's a kind of a nice new thing on there. You can also go into your settings and all these different notifications you can have. And you can have notifications that are connected to programs. And you can mark them as to, this is high priority, middle priority, low. And so, of course, the high ones are going to be at the very top of the list, so it attracts your attention. Lots of customization that you can do on that. We also have what's called quick boxes. These boxes down here are quick access to some of your settings. And you can see them right there where you're talking about the tablet mode, the airplane. I keep calling it project. Why am I going to do a project? I'm retired. I don't need to do a project. No, that's project. That's where I would have clicked if we were having trouble with my signal to the projector. Then I would have clicked there, and that would have given me the option to make the changes. So all of these are different options. All settings. You have 2 choices. You can go to your left screen and get to all settings, or you can go to the right side and get to all settings. What's new now is that I control what is on there for those quick things.
Oh, well, that was my question.
If you go into your settings for your Action Center, you can go in, and I'll do that real quick. If I go into settings, notifications, and you can see right there at the top, it says I can rearrange those or I can add and remove what I don't want. So if there's anything up there that I don't want, for example, on my desktop, I do not have Wi-Fi, so on my desktop, I would get rid of the one that's Wi-Fi. It's not there right now because there was a problem with Wi-Fi. But the network is important because we connect to a network. Oh, I know, the one I want, airplane mode. There is no need for my desktop to have airplane mode.
Right.
It's sitting on the ground, it's never going to go up because, that's going to take too much. They're going to charge me for extra luggage. If my desktop is never going to get hooked up to a second monitor or projector, I wouldn't need that. But there might be some that you need, and there's lots of different. You can spend days with all of these settings and getting them configured the way you want. But that's nice. That was new, so you can now add that. And so that when you go to your settings, these are the buttons that you want quick access to. Up here at the top, notifications as they come up to you, but you can prioritize them so that the top ones are the most important ones. 7, 8. Oh, one new thing. I don't know if it... My settings. We had it fun. Didn't tell it here. Let me go. Control panel is still here. If you do a right click, there's control panel. When I pull up, you'll say, oh, there's my old buddy. Well, some of these still work and some of them don't. Some of them, when you click on it, takes you to the new stuff. But the old system, you'll say, oh, yes, I remember this. Somewhere it talked about your license. And those of us who went free from 7 and 8 to 10, you had a digital entitlement. Because you were entitled to go to Windows 10 because you were a former 7 or 8. People who had bought 10, you bought it. So you had a digital license. Microsoft's kind of said, this is kind of ridiculous going back and forth. Keep it safe. So now all of us that used to be digital entitlements, we are supposedly now all digital license. And I would suggest to you to go and read the license, because you'd be surprised to find out that you do not own Windows 10. You are technically leasing it. Windows 10 does not belong. If you bought it, you are buying the rights to use it. Microsoft says we still control it and we can change it whenever we want to. In the old way, you could have your old version of Windows XP, and somebody has been using it for years past, Microsoft's wanting, but she bought it for her computer, so that was her copy. Microsoft couldn't do anything about it. Now it can, because they own the rights to it. You are just licensed to use it. And it's licensed to a computer, not even to you. When you go to Windows 10, it records all your hardware, so it knows what this computer is. It doesn't care about you. And then if you start to change the parts inside your computer, Microsoft says, wait a second here, this isn't the same computer. This isn't the same computer, so this license doesn't go with it. You've got to buy a new one. Now what we've been told and works out, if I have to replace a failed hard drive, when Microsoft, when you get it back in operating 10, 10 looks at it and says, okay, everything's the same except hard drive. Hard drives fail, so that's good. We will reactivate it and you can use it. We haven't done it yet, but we're wondering that if I replace the hard drive and the processor, or maybe the hard drive and the motherboard, Microsoft might say, nope, you've got half a new computer, you're not allowed to use it. You need to buy it again. Because Windows 10 goes with the computer. So you can't move it from computer to computer very easily. Alright, so now you're licensed to use it, but it's not yours. Moving on. A lot of stuff. I thought there wasn't much, but then I got to dig it in and said, oh yes, there is more things. Okay. Number 9. Okay. There are people who have touch screens, and they like the tablet way of doing things. So Microsoft said, okay, we figured that the desktops were dying, dinosaurs, they're gone, but we said, no, we're not. We're still here. So, we still have tablets and touch people. So Microsoft said, okay, we're going to make this so if you really like the tablet size, style, you can go in and click and say, I want this to be tablet. And so when it goes to tablet, some of you will say, whoa, there's Windows 8 again, or 8.1, I don't differentiate. So now you're back to it. And if you have a touch screen, you can tap on those just like you did with the tablet. So there are people who like that. If you want to get to your all programs, you click on your little list here, and there, ooh, just like in Windows 8, there's all your apps in alphabetical order, and you can scroll down, whereas before we scrolled sideways and do that. You can also work it that if you open up an app in the task view, your taskbar disappears like it did in Windows or the Windows 8, and you move your mouse, it comes back up. So somebody who wants their Windows 10 to work like Windows 8, you can do that. So Microsoft said you're going to have the best of both worlds. I don't, so I'm going to take off tablet mode. Oh, the problem that was happening with Wi-Fi is that the Wi-Fi button didn't work quite right. We used to click on the network stuff to find the Wi-Fi connections that were close by, and we ended up getting it turned off and turned on and stuff. So Microsoft now makes it, since I've got a laptop, it'll work, that now if I click network, it will pop up and show me the networks. It will not turn off my Wi-Fi unless I go to a hidden Wi-Fi button to turn off the Wi-Fi. Because I know that people were having problems because they were turning off Wi-Fi, hitting the airplane mode. When you hit airplane mode, that turns everything off. So they changed it around so that we now have a network button that tells you what you want. If you want to turn off your Wi-Fi for some reason, then inside the network you have that button there. Number 10. Microsoft 10 has something called Ink. And I'm going, Ink? Okay. For those people that have the touch screens, you can write with your finger or with a stylus pen. That's your ink. And so you can have more features with that. It doesn't do me any good, it doesn't have a touch screen. So you can write on the screens and in programs. If you have a program running, you can write on it. Here's something neat. It can convert a note. Let's say you're writing a note. I need to send Al such and such file tomorrow. I write that on a sticky note type thing. Tomorrow the computer will remind me, today you're supposed to send Al that file. So it will convert a note that I've written into a reminder. It can convert words into things Bing can show you. So I could write something down about maybe taking a trip on the Caribbean. All of a sudden, Bing pops up and here's information about the Caribbean, here's maps for Caribbean, here's pictures about the Caribbean. So the computer reads what you're writing and then can act upon it. Something kind of neat. One thing that got removed, and Microsoft will do this, if they find something that they thought was a good idea and it turns out it's not, they get rid of it. Does anybody remember seeing something called Wi-Fi Sense? Wi-Fi Sense was the thing that worked with you and said, hey, do you want to give your friends the password for your network? So when they come over to the house, they've got the password. And you can give that password to all of your Google contact people. And somebody said, who thought that was a good idea, that I'm going to give some passwords to my network out to people? So Wi-Fi Sense has been removed. It's history, because that wasn't really a smart idea. At first it sounded like a good idea, But most of your Wi-Fi's, the new modern ones, has a guest account. And you can give that password to people because if they come to your house, they get very limited access to your network. Maybe just getting out to the internet, can't download stuff, they can just maybe read. So Wi-Fi Sense is gone. Number 12, come on, where are you? Ah! Nope, that was 2. Oh, there's 12. One of the confusing things that Microsoft did when they went from Windows 7 and Vista and went into, or Vista into 7, they had a software package for antivirus. And we used it a lot here in the beginning. It was called Microsoft Security Essentials. And a lot of times that came with your computer. If it didn't, we could put it on your Windows computer and you would have an antivirus. Microsoft sensed, oh, people are then going out and getting malware bytes and super anti-spyware to get malware and spyware programs, and all we've got is a virus program. So Microsoft came up with theirs. It was called Windows Defender. And so you had your 2 products. Security Essentials was your antivirus. Defender was your malware, and everything was fine. Well, then when they came to 8 and 10, they decided, we're going to change names. We're going to put them together, mold them together, and we're going to call them Windows Defender. So when people got their computer, all they found out was their computer had Windows Defender. They knew that wasn't the antivirus, so then they went out and got another antivirus. And then when you get another antivirus, it'll turn off Defender, because you can only have one running. So Microsoft said, okay, we screwed up. You know, we've got to do a better job, because there was nothing on here. So if you look right now, you will see there is a new icon on the taskbar that is Windows Defender, which is the combination antivirus all in one. And so now it shows up where it didn't before. It was in the background running. So now if we go, and I'll click on it for you, it says that everything is protected. So when I open it, you'll say, some of you, oh, I remember that. There's Microsoft Security Essentials. Only now it's called Windows Defender. Alright, so that wasn't a big thing to put the icon on here. But here's the big thing that Microsoft realized. There are some people that still prefer their own antivirus program. You can't have 2 running. Now, if I install Avast, Microsoft will turn off their antivirus side, but they will still run as another help to you the spyware, adware stuff. So now Windows Defender, part of it, will work hand in hand with your third-party antivirus. So, you know, it will monitor things and then we'll look for stuff, but you can then have your choice of your own antivirus. So that is another big change. And if we go into settings and we go into our security, oh, there it is. I'm still learning all these levels. And when you go to Windows Defender, you will see that if you go into your choices, you can set it up so that it will work with yours. And because I don't have my Avast on here, I installed it for this presentation. I'll put it back on. Then there will be an extra button that says, you know, let it work alongside. So that was a good one. while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and skip and go to our Windows update. Because we looked at the one part about how to find out updates. In the old Windows 7 and XP, you could go in and control how updates were going. You could even turn them off completely, although we never recommended to do that. But you could say, don't download anything, tell me about it, I'll pick what I want to download and install, or download them, but don't install them until I check mark which ones I want, because I'm going to wait and listen to see if there's any bad ones. Microsoft said that can't happen anymore. With our rolling release type program, we can't have you messing around with not getting updates, because this is our program, it's not your program. So all we can do right now is two things. One, they now let us say, I have an active time that I'm using my computer. I can't be bothered by you working in the background. So you can go here and set, as you can see, I've set mine that from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, which might be my biggest work time, Windows or Microsoft will not bother my computer with trying to do anything. They will leave it alone. After 10 o'clock, then it's, or before 7 p.m., it can't. So that's kind of a new feature that lets you have ability to say, okay, I know you have to do this work, but don't bother me here. They got that idea from printers. I had a printer a long time ago that had quiet hours. That you could go into the printer and say, my quiet hours, the kids go to sleep at 9 o'clock. So from 9 o'clock at night until 8 o'clock in the morning, quiet. And so when you print, it went. So it wouldn't disturb people. That was nice. Because sometimes your printers are going. So now you can have your active hours and say, okay, I know that you have to do things, but I got to do things. And they say, okay, we'll work together. You tell me when you're busy, I won't bother you. The other thing that is changeable, there is a time of day that the computer must do maintenance. It's got to go through, check for updates, install updates, clean up junk, rearrange, whatever it does. It doesn't tell you what all it does, but we know it does stuff. You have to pick a time. By default, it's usually set for 3 a.m. So if your computer's on overnight, at 3 a.m., Microsoft's coming in the night shift and doing the stuff they have to do. But if your computer's not on at 3 a.m., then it's got to say, okay, we've got to do our stuff. And so that's where that active time comes in, because when you turn your computer back on, Microsoft is going to do its job. I've got work to do. And so it will not do work if you are working on it. And when you stop working, then it might start to do its thing. But what I don't know yet is, well, when is that? How long do you have to not be doing something on the computer before Windows will start? I don't know. So you could go through and say, okay, 3 a.m. is not going to work for me. But I go to lunch every day at noon. I'm not on my computer. I'm not even at the house. I can set the computer that maintenance time is 12 noon every day. And so I can do it then. And then I can say, also, by the way, I've got this big active time. Don't bother me then. So those are a couple of things that you can do on fixing that. One of the things that also came up is with their themes. I've gotten to use, and it doesn't sound like I've gone to the dark side of the Star Wars, but they do have what they call dark themes. Instead of being so white, the themes usually are more of a dark background and white lettering. And for some people, their vision, they can read this easier than black letters on white. Because you've seen what's happened when I click on the Start menu. Look what it does, just in this room. Boom! So that kind of a background theme is kind of hard. So let me see if I can find it. Under personalize, under themes. Theme settings, let's see. And they're supposed to be, well, this goes back to the old one. That doesn't look right. But they now do have a theme that will let it be more of a dark theme. Sort of like what I have down here at the bottom. And so most of my menus are all kind of black in the background and white lettering because it makes it easier on my eyes. So that wasn't available before, but that was added. Our browser is Microsoft Edge is the new browser that's replacing Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer is still there because there are some web pages that Edge will not let you see. They are such old, antique design, Edge won't do it. So Microsoft said, okay, we are going to be sending notes to those people and say, you're using archaic, coding and stuff like that. Without Internet Explorer, people are not going to be able to read yours. Get it fixed. So Edge is still there. So if I go, Internet Explorer. So if I go to a website, and it doesn't show up right, if you go to your settings, you will see right there, you can open with Internet Explorer. And you'd be able to watch it. I predict that Internet Explorer will disappear from your computer in the near future. Because Microsoft's not going to have to maintain two different browsers. Edge is the browser they are doing. They left Internet Explorer for emergency purposes for you to use, but they don't really want you using it. Edge is the one we're using. Now, we've already talked a little bit about some of the special features of Edge, and I'm supposed to be talking about the new things. Edge, in order to keep up with Firefox and Chrome, now will accept extensions. And so if I go up to my menu, you're in my way. If I go to my menu, I can go down and do extensions, just like Firefox and Chrome can do. I can go to the store and I can get extensions. Are you doing it? My work link. There we go. Network. I'm connected. But I have to tell you folks that our Wi-Fi here has a lot to be desired. Try it again. We'll do it through the store first. Okay, so extensions. Now, the thing is, if I scroll down through these, we're done scrolling, folks.
That's it?
That's it. Because the extensions have to be approved by Microsoft and jump through their hoops. So these are what's available right now. More will be added daily. But they had to do this because people were saying, I'm not using Microsoft browser because I like extensions that I can get with Firefox and Chrome. So Microsoft says, okay, we got the hint. We will let you have. And so there's a couple of the main ones, the AdBlock Plus, the Amazon one, Office Online, and, oh, Evernote. Need to do a whole lesson on Evernote. So you can get some of your extensions now. Also, Microsoft has worked it out. We all know how critical or how we have to be cautious using Flash. And some programs, you know, kind of limit you. Well, Edge now will do it where you have to click to make Flash work. Because that means if I click it and Flash does something to my computer, I'm at fault because I clicked it. Before, it just automatically happened. So now they are making that click to play, which is better security for you. You're able to pin tabs. If I go here, it says if I right click, get away from here, I can pin. That means that every time I open up, it's like putting a permanent bookmark. I can automatically open up to a multiple number of tabs, of websites. Now, I know that Firefox and Chrome did that because you could go in and instead of just saying use this page as my startup page, you could put 2 or 3 or 4 different web addresses in and it would open up 4 at a time. So Microsoft says, oh, people like that? Okay, so we can now pin it. So let's see if it worked.
John?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not limited to 4. I don't know if that's what you meant.
Nope.
There's a setting that says open pages from last time. So
Yep.
however many are there, you have.
Right, but if you open up too many, you're kind of crazy to open up that. So now if I open up Edge again, I don't use Edge, so I can't guarantee this is going to work. And look at the left of here. You see up at the top? I've got a second little button. There it is. So I can permanently pin some web pages up in the top corner. But to me, it's like a bookmark. Call it what you want. Close all the tabs, yes. The people, developers, play a game. Browser A gets something fancy and everybody says, well, we like that. Well, then B and C are going to get it. C gets something and everybody says, hey, we like that. A and B are going to get it. So it's a game that goes back and forth. The other big thing that's something new that's to me is called web notifications. There are certain websites that you can go to, and if you activate web notifications, you can get notifications sent to you about that website. I don't know if it's about when something comes up or something changes or what, but I know that it said that if I activate that on a web page, then something will pop up here about a notification from a particular website, and I click on it and it will take me right to that website. So I guess that sounds like it's something that would be good for if you have a website like our website. If you want to know when we've changed the program information, a notification could be sent and you know that there's something updated and changed. That's new, so that's a new feature for Edge. We're getting close. In the old days, we if we had these things called restore points, that supposedly if we got really messed up, we could go back a little bit in time and take our computer back before something messed up. They always didn't work right, and restore points didn't get made correctly. In the Windows 8 and now 10, Microsoft has 2 things that they include. Other than your manufacturer, this laptop manufacturer created a restore partition that I can boot to that partition and it will reinstall Windows back to the day it was bought. Now, I've erased that in mine. Somebody might say, why would you do that? Because this laptop was not an 8. it had been a 7. So that means if I would use that restore partition, it would take my computer clear back to Windows 7. And then I can move it back up to 8. But how do I get back to 10 without buying it? I don't want to try that because remember 10 is supposed to be associated with my hardware. But see, it was originally 7. All right. So I erase that because I don't ever want to go back to 7. So Microsoft then in Windows 10 has put in 2 extra things besides Lenovo's thing, which I got rid of. And it's called Restart and Refresh. And Refresh, I hope I'm doing it in the right order, will take your computer back to a fresh copy of Windows 10 and keep all of your files. However, any program that wasn't a Microsoft program, they're not going to put those back on for you. You have to. So my Avast would be gone. I'd have to put it back. My Thunderbird would be gone. I'd have to put it back. But all the Microsoft. But all my files are there. If I choose Reset, that takes me back to a brand clean copy of Windows 10. All users are gone. All files are gone. So that's last resort. You ever want to use that. But Microsoft has come up with something new for early users. Because if I go back with the manufacturer, besides going back to Windows 7, I go back to all the junk that Lenovo added to Windows. All of their little junk files, crap files we call it. I run a program, we use it here. You get a new laptop or new computer, you bring it in, we run a program called Crap Cleaner. And that will clean off all of that non-stuff that isn't Windows.
Nancy, is that what you were talking about earlier, that touchy subject?
Good. And they do that. It's not just Lenovo. HP does it. Dell does it. They add stuff. And so we ran Crap Cleaner, gets rid of all that. Microsoft says, well, we don't want people going in and getting a third party. So they have now, in Windows 10, they've got what they call, different than Refresh and Reset, it's called Clean Windows. And so what it will do is it will take you back and make sure you're clean of all that extra junk. So you can get started back at the beginning of Windows, but without the junk. Okay, I talked about the updates. Oh, battery. It's interesting. We've gone all these decades of Windows with an option called battery options. Now it's just called battery. But if we go to our settings, and let's see if it's under, there we are, battery, not battery options. But this is even better. We can go in and find out what apps are using up the battery more than others. And we can control that better. So if I click on that, just to show you. Because I don't use this that often, I don't have any programs that are really hogging my battery because I don't run this on battery. Very rarely do I run it on battery because I'm at home, plugged in electricity. But when I'm out, I would be able to find out. And then the Windows itself would control it. It would see, hey, here's a program that's really using a lot of extra battery. We're going to, block it or slow it down. Or if I have a program that I'm not using, Microsoft's going to say, hey, he doesn't really use that. Let's turn it off because it's using up battery. So it's better battery management, especially when you do it by home. And you can go in there in one of your settings and even tell the computer, I don't want ever this program to run under battery. Or I'll let you manage it. We'll run it, but if it's going to become a problem, you take over and stop it. Skype. Skype has been bouncing back and forth. Microsoft bought Skype because they didn't like Skype's big popularity, so it's theirs. And so then Microsoft created an app for Skype. And there was a desktop version. And then they stopped the app version. Then they tried adding, okay, we're going to make sub-programs. We're going to have a Skype for voice, a Skype for text, a Skype for message. Now we have 3 programs. Forget that, so we're back. So now we're back to a new Skype, and probably the desktop will be dropped for the Skype app.
My mind is spinning.
Yeah, it is. And they're all heading towards, Microsoft's probably going to move Skype to a web-based program. Which makes sense because I have Skype for Linux, there is Skype for Apple, and there's Skype for Windows, and there's Skype for my phone. I have a Skype on my phone. And those are all different programs. So if Microsoft moves them all to web-based, now they only have to deal with developing one program. So for right now, there's a new Skype out there, but there's no guarantee that it's going to stay there. Task View. A lot of people don't know Task View. That's this icon right here. When you click on it, you will notice that I have 2 programs running right now. Chrome is running to run Zoom and the Zoom program. Task View is like what Linux has had for years called virtual desktops. What that means is I can have something running on this desktop and something different running on this desktop. In the old days, we had something running on top of something, and we had to keep changing them back and forth, maximizing, minimizing. But I can actually say, I want 2 desktops. People can do this with 2 monitors, but I don't have room for 2 monitors. So now I can start up a program in Desktop 2 and have it fully functioning, full screen, and I can switch back and forth between my desktops and not have to minimize, maximize, do all that sort of stuff. What people who have monitors can't do, usually, is I can have 3, 4, I'm going to stop at that, but I have a plus, so that'd be another one. So now what I can do is maybe on desktop 1, I've got my word processor going, I'm writing something. Desktop 2 has my browser, so I can switch back, look for something, and then copy it and paste it back into my word processing. Desktop 3 could be my email program, keeping it running, and I can quickly switch over to that, see if I got something new. And then Desktop 4, maybe I got a game playing so that when I need to take a break, or something else. But I can switch back and forth. There's a keyboard, control window, arrow back and forth, so it's real quick, but I can switch. Well, what's new is there are some people that said, well, you know, I wish I could have my music program on each one. So if I needed to change it or stop it or pick a different channel, I don't have to go back to that desktop. So now you can pin programs to all 4 of those, or 5, or whatever you have, so that you didn't have to go switching back to do something. So that's a new feature where you can pin. Okay, we're running slow on time. Haha, we're running out of time. And I can get rid of those. If I don't put anything on them, they're gone. So watch, if I go back, there shouldn't be, but oh, yep, they're there. So I can, these are great. We've been using this in Linux for years. Last thing I just want to mention, but we're not going to talk about it a lot because as you see, it's 4:15. That's time for drawing. We probably should have a whole program and somebody who has mastered Cortana. Cortana is the little person that lives inside your computer, just like Siri lives inside your Apple, and OK Google lives inside your Android phone. And these are your assistants. And you can ask them things. Oh, I forgot, and Apple, there's a 4th one now. Amazon has Alexa. And these are great because if I had Cortana turned on, I could ask it questions. What's the weather like outside? And it would tell me. What's the score of the ball game? It would tell me. It can do all that. It's your assistant. And it does even more. But just to show you how much Cortana has improved, and I don't use it, I don't have enough time to learn how, but we need to get somebody to do a whole program on Cortana, because here's what else it can do. It has become a lot smarter. Ooh, I don't know if that's good. It has become very proactive. But that's also what Siri and OK Google and Alexa does. And see, right now, my phone's not listening to me. Because usually if I say that word with the letter O and the letter K, it'll bing and say, what do you want? Does it in middle of class. Microsoft will not let you do what I did before and totally disable Cortana. You can customize it, but you can't disable it. You can't pull the plug on it now. You talking to me? Somebody's talking.
Yeah, I hear it.
Interesting. I can, though, reduce. Yeah, I can reduce Cortana's levels of things and not let it remember anything private. If you make Cortana the way it should be, it has access to all of your contacts, so it knows who your friends are. So I could just say, Cortana, send a message to Mary Frantic, and it would address it because she knows, it's a she. Lots of stuff. It knows your appointments, so it knows when to tell you that you got to go to your appointment, your doctor, all that.
She can call on your phone for you.
Cortana, there is an app for your Android, Windows phone, nothing for iPhone, because those two companies don't get along. But if I would download Cortana to my phone, they would be able to connect, and my phone then would know all that my phone or computer does. You've got to be logged in with your Microsoft account. But look at this, listen to this. If I would take a picture or save a picture on my computer about something I wanted to buy, Cortana would store it, and then when I'm at the store, it would say, here's what you want to buy, don't forget this. If I receive an email, such as I have an email that's my flight to go to the conference, if I get an email, Cortana will put that in my calendar automatically. Because it reads that email that it's a flight, puts it in there. If I put something in my calendar, like right now, I put in the recycle event, and I still had the Linux help desk. Cortana would have come and said, John, you got a problem here. You've got two things scheduled at the same time. Or I put in my calendar, or from an email, or from a sticky note, I'm going to have lunch with Al tomorrow at 1. Cortana, do you want to book a table? It will do that. Say, okay, call so-and-so, make me a reservation. It will do that. Cortana has a timer. I can just say something about, like whatever the words is. Cortana, turn on timer. Set it for 10 minutes. A little later, Cortana, how much time's left? It would tell me how much time's left. And then after that 10 minutes, it would do it. If you're connected to Microsoft's music service, like Alexa connects to Amazon's, I can just say, Cortana, play me this song, play me this artist, and it would do that. It's becoming almost human. That's not everything. But that's what the major things were that was 1607. Now, we're not going to get this much again until sometime next year. But we will get little things all the time. Maybe not this week, but next week. maybe 2 weeks in a row, then not for a couple of weeks. You just don't know. And so all of a sudden you're going to be looking and going, that's different. I'll tell you right now, there's a new difference coming. Weekend recap, July 8th through July 7th. Interesting, this is July. If I go to shut down, you notice that we've got the options of sleep, hibernate, shut down, and restart. Because of this laptop, can either sleep or hibernate. How many of you have done this where you've clicked shut down and you'll say Windows updates, then shut down? Or Windows updates, then restart. And you're going, oh. Happens on the computers here. And when it happens here, I can't leave because I can't turn off the power until they're done. And they all do it at different days. Chuck showed because he's got it. We will get it sometime. Don't know when, but don't be surprised. You will now be given the option to bypass it right now. So there will be a shutdown or install updates, then shut down. Or install updates and restart, or just say restart. Because there are times we don't have time to do it. We will eventually have to. Maybe what they'll say is we'll give you one chance. The next time, that won't be there. I don't know, but Chuck showed me, so that will be something new that will be added sometime in the future that you will have a chance to say, I just want to restart. I don't want to do the updates now. And they'll have to do them, and they'll force me to it with that one. So that's how it changes. Always evolving. Never going to be the same. As right now, it's free with all these changes. Don't quote me on that because I don't quote that. They've already changed the Enterprise. They're saying the new Enterprise version is going to be now a paid service, $7 a month per computer. I see that happening to us. No, but I'm told I'm full of hogwash. Okay, so
Want to take questions?
I'll take some quick questions because people are wanting that. Turn on lights too. Mary Frances. I don't know the answer.
Since I'm an older person, I wonder if there's anybody else that's confused in the whole room except me. The other day, you looked at me and smiled indulgently when I said something about where do I click to get my programs, and you said, Mary Frances, apps. So I ran over to the alphabet and looked under A, but there was no apps there. And you smiled at me and you said something like, desktop apps, Mary Frances. And I looked in the D's and there was nothing there. And so I'm thinking, he's crazy or I am. So you said to me, you have to look in the W's for apps. And I'm thinking, okay, now I know it's him that's crazy. How are we supposed to remember all these things?
No, the only thing you remember, we were looking for accessories. That's under W for Windows accessories.
Okay.
Now, what you have to look for is that the word is apps. Everything's an app. The desktop app is what you installed yourself. Avast, Firefox, LibreOffice. Those are desktop apps. They didn't come from Microsoft. So that is your listing of all your apps, whether they're desktop apps or Microsoft apps.
Okay.
They're all listed there. But Microsoft made the confusion between calling desktop programs desktop apps. So everything's an app. They're all listed right there.
You still run Firefox and not Edge on your... You have Windows 10 there?
Yeah. I run Vivaldi. New browser. Based on Chrome, or based on Opera. The guy that owned or developed Opera gave it up. I'm tired. team that took it over decided to do things their way. He didn't like what they were doing. They said, tough, you gave it to us. So he started Opera again and renamed it Vivaldi and is doing it the way he said this is how it should be. Some neat things there. I use Firefox, Chrome, Vivaldi, but no, I don't use Edge because I'm not a Microsoft person. Now that the program's over, I'm off the clock now. Edge
C
is,
cleaner?
what?
Do you use the C cleaner?
Sure, crap cleaner, use it all the time.
How do you know if you have any questions from your Zoomers?
I would pop open the chat window and see. Yeah, Bob says that the ADAS is now in the store. Microsoft did it. I'm surprised that Microsoft did it, but it's there. But you got, I don't go to the store. Gotta look.
Run out of time.
Yeah. We can stop the recording and ask questions forever, but the questions are only, there's a lot of the changes. The title of the program, Windows 10, anniversary. It wasn't really an anniversary, it was just the newest one. What's new? There you saw what's new. In 2 weeks, there's going to be some new stuff. 2 more weeks, more new stuff. But it's always going to change. So don't get in the position where, this isn't what it looks like. Don't come running to me when you say that Windows 10 looks different. It's going to look different. It's never going to be the same. It keeps changing. And how we do things could change. Thank you. Go.
All right.